I'm just going to light a little bit of sage because I have a feeling that I am going to get attacked by the Reputation stands. So I just want to cleanse this energy and remind everybody that this is a bullying-free zone. I know that the Reputation stands love to, get all up in arms about people who disagree with them, but I'm not the one. So don't try me. And I'd also like to point out that I'm wearing Reputation merch, okay? I'm not a hater. I'm also gonna sage you. All right, so we're going into this video with fresh, clear intentions. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. I am the Taylor Swiftologist, and today I am going to be talking about my unpopular opinions, Swiftie edition. I'd just like to remind everyone that I am a big Taylor Swift fan, fucking obviously, okay? And that does not mean that she is immune from criticism just because I love her. If you ever listen to my podcast, The Evolution of a Snake, you'd know that I'd be having takes that I've been throwing out, and occasionally I get attacked by some crazy people on the internet, but you know what? It's worth it in the pursuit of truth and justice. So, if you'd like to hear some more of those spicy takes, you can listen to The Evolution of a Snake, my Taylor Swift podcast, which I will link down below. You could also follow me on Instagram. That would be cool. And you could subscribe. So now that I'm done digitally begging, let's get into the video. Okay, so my first unpopular opinion is that Reputation is not the masterpiece that y'all think it is. Now let me explain, okay? Reputation is not a bad album by any means. There are very few bad Taylor Swift albums other than Lover, which, as we all know, is not an unpopular opinion, it's just the truth. But I think that the only people who are solidly obsessed with this album and say that it is, her magnum opus, she'll never do anything like it, it was her greatest moment, I think those are people that weren't really around in the heyday of Taylor Swift, because everything post 1989 has been like a reshift, a redirect, a reorientation. 1989 was really that bitch, and so was Red, to be honest. If we're talking about chart success, commercial penetration, the fact that her face was fucking everywhere, she was getting interviews on every talk show, performing everywhere. She really was a cultural force to be reckoned with. And when Reputation rolled around, it was kind of in direct response to the backlash that she got from that overexposure. So I appreciate Reputation for that, in that it's less of an artistic experiment and more of a branding, PR, marketing experiment, and it certainly worked to her advantage. She didn't give any interviews basically throughout the entire Reputation era, which I think kind of hurt the album a little bit. I feel like more people would know that the album wasn't all vindictive spite. I feel like people would know the story of Reputation a little bit more had she been a little bit more forthcoming with the information about what the album was fucking about. If you heard Look What You Made Me Do and Ready For It, would you honestly want to listen to an entire album based around those two songs? I wouldn't. I love those two tracks, but you know what? 15 of them, I don't want to hear it. The one thing that I will say about Reputation is that she experimented vocally with her cadence and her tone, that kind of talk singing, putting more emphasis on the way she says things rather than what she's saying. That was a really cool kind of foray into a new territory for her, but I am glad that she's veered away from that and gone back to her strong skill, which is melodic songwriting. I also thought that the rollout for Reputation was pretty messy and lackluster in comparison to 1989. There was a real opportunity for Reputation to be a visual album, okay? We're talking start to finish, Look What You Made Me Do, video style-esque drama. And yet Joseph Kahn's music videos were all fart no shit. They were really not very good. I was especially disappointed by the Delicate music video because, that's one of the best songs off the album, and the music video is kind of weird and boring. Also, the single choices for Reputation, we had some bangers on the track list that, really could have promoted the album to a wider audience, like Getaway Car or I Did Something Bad. But instead, we had to go for Look What You Made Me Do. I get it, it was a polarizing moment. But following it up with Ready For It and Endgame, it's just kind of more of the same, So the reason why I don't think it's her magnum opus is because I don't feel like she put as much thought into planning and executing it as she did for some of her other albums, which were more musically diverse in their track list as well. And can I also just add that the Reputation tour, not her best tour either. The set list was very strange, ending the whole show, her closing number, the big hit moment being, This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. I mean, it just doesn't really make sense to me, you know? I feel like we could have gone a little more, again, detailed with the visuals and the storytelling. The set list was all over the place. Like, one minute we're going from like, look what you made me do, suddenly we're at Shake It Off, and now here we are singing Dress. I mean, where's the story? What's the narrative here? Okay, so the next one, I'm really not gonna entertain any conversation on. I will delete comments, I will block people. I'm sick of being attacked for saying this, but Kayla is not real. It's not. And I won't be entertaining conspiracy theories on this topic. And you know what? It's really fucking pissing me off how crazy people are getting about this shit. If Taylor had something to share with us of that nature, I believe that she would want to do it in her own words and in her own time. And you know, I feel like, you know, most of the people who are shipping Kayla are some form of the LGBT community. And don't we all know how bad it is when people try and force you to say something that you're not ready to say? I'm not insinuating that Taylor has something to say. I'm just saying that even if she did, trying to bait her and out her and expose her is clearly not the way to go about doing that. Especially if you're a fan and you proclaim to love her. It's bizarre behavior to me, very, very strange and unsettling. I just don't think it happened. There is no evidence to substantiate this. And if you're gonna like drop some crazy Twitter thread with like pictures and like different like cryptic things, I mean, I just have to say that I don't wanna see it because I will never believe it. I will never agree. I can't. This is my unpopular opinion. Don't send me anything about Taylor. I don't wanna see it. Not on my watch. My next unpopular opinion is that the Katy Perry saga was really fucking embarrassing for Taylor. She launched this entire smear campaign against, you know, another successful female pop star while she was, you know, banging on about girl power and girl squad and girl boss this, girl boss that. It was kind of embarrassing. I mean, the music video for Bad Blood was literally Taylor and all her friends attacking Katy Perry, who had like no friends and was really weak and eventually got punched in the face. Tell me how that fits in with the girl bossery. I'd love to know. And I also think that the origin myth around this feud is just not true. Taylor has tried to paint it out as though there was some sort of conflict between Katy Perry taking some backing dancers out from under her during a tour. She's kind of walked this back in recent years and said that Bad Blood was about a guy and she pretended it was about Katy Perry to take the heat off the guy. Which is another explanation that I don't really buy. There's an interview somewhere for this. I think it might be GQ 2016, pre-Snakegate. I just think it's ridiculous. All of this hullabaloo in the Guava Orchard about dancers who are probably getting paid like $10, $15 an hour and fly economy when you're in your private jet. I mean, come on, it's not realistic. In my opinion, now this is a conspiracy theory, this is not like, you know, verified information, but I think that, you know, Taylor was a little pissed that Katy Perry was dating John Mayer. And you know what? She had a right to be. John Mayer is the worst person alive and he treated her like shit, and her and Katy were friends, so I can imagine why Taylor would be upset about Katy Perry dating him. But did we need to do all of this? Was it necessary? What was the point of this? This is the logical explanation for why she was trying to exact revenge on Katy Perry for many, many years. But I will say that it was a bad look for her, and she's really lucky that Katy Perry forgave her. Katy Perry's tweet saying that Taylor Swift was the Regina George in sheep's clothing, I mean, I don't agree, but at the time, that's pretty much exactly what she was acting like. She's all in public, like support and uplift other women, and yet also, here's my #1 song about wanting to never forgive this person even when they said sorry. My next unpopular opinion is that Taylor does not have a single skipless album. And that is okay. We got really close with Folklore, but I can't think of any album by any artist where every single song aligns with my specific taste. So I don't want to see people on the internet going, Reputation has no skips, Evermore has no skips, Lover has no skips. They all got skips. They all have at least one. Folklore only has one, but it still has one, you know? It's not completely skipless. To piss everyone off, I'm now going to announce what the skips are on each album. On the debut, we have a few: A Place in This World, Stay Beautiful, and A Perfectly Good Heart, which is probably one of my least favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. Fearless, Change, You're Not Sorry, and Jump Then Fall. Hate on it, but I'm right. Speak Now, Superman is garbage, and Speak Now is really boring, so those are 2 skips. Red, we have Stay, Stay, Stay. I'm literally going to get attacked for saying that, but I stand firm in my truth. Starlight and Everything Has Changed. Now I have to say, sometimes I am in the mood for Starlight, but that happens very rarely because it is a skip, you know? You can like a skip, but still, it's a skip. 1989, we have This Love, and personally, I think I Know Places is a skip, but I know that people love that, so I can't officially term it as a skip, but you know, if this was my world and I was making the rules, it's a skip. Reputation, King of My Heart, stupid bleep bloop song. I literally can't stand that song. song, and New Year's Day, which is a very forced performance of emotion after an album that had pretty much none of that. Lover. I mean, we could just skip the whole thing. No, I'm kidding. Of course, we have Cruel Summer, and for that, we must be eternally grateful. But we can skip Me, It's Nice to Have a Friend, Daylight, and I Forgot That You Existed. They can all go away. Folklore, it's just Epiphany for me. It's just Epiphany. I put Peace on there, but I've been listening to Peace a little bit more and I've been getting into it, so I'm gonna have to leave Peace. Evermore, surprisingly, this album is full of skips for me, which kind of makes sense because it was essentially the B takes of Folklore, an excellent near skipless album. So my skips on Evermore are Dorothea, Happiness, Closure, and It's Time to Go. I would love to put Champagne Problems on that list, but I think that I would maybe get a death threat. So I love Champagne Problems so much, it's the best song I've ever heard of all time. Don't come for me. My next unpopular opinion is that I don't give a flying fuck about chart success. I don't care about all your bleep bloop numbers. I don't care to join in your streaming parties and endlessly try and prove that my fave is the most successful person in the world. I mean, Taylor's been pretty fucking successful throughout her life, okay? We don't need to be like hyping her up to get Exile #1 on Billboard Hot 100. Everybody just relax. There's enough to go around for everybody. Taylor's had her fair share. I don't think she's all that concerned about having radio hits and single hits at the moment. It seems like kind of an outdated thing to hold on to, and yet some people are really fucking obsessed with the numbers. And it's usually like 15-year-olds in their bedrooms trying to like dunk on Ariana Grande fans, but you know what? Stop. We are supposed to be fans of the artist, the musicianship, the songwriting, the character development. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to watch her skill set develop and see how her position as a cultural figure changes over time. I don't really care about how many units of a song she sells, especially when it's not a good song. Like when everybody was trying to get me to stream The Man and make it #1, I was like, in your fucking dreams, it would go #1 if it was a good song, but it's not, so. All right, here's another one. I think that the editing on the 1989 tour film is actually kind of fun. All I ever see are people complaining about how glitchy and fast and hectic it is, but you know what? I feel like it really shows all the different angles of how perfect she looked at the time. You know, she was in her supermodel cyborg moment. The 1989 tour was essentially a fashion show. It was like a year-long Victoria's Secret fashion show starring the only Victoria's Secret angel, Taylor Swift. Not a female dancer to be seen on stage, just her and those long-ass legs strutting up and down that catwalk every single night. And you know what? I think that the editing reflected that really well. You know, the tour, now that I think about it, could be kind of boring if you don't edit it in an interesting way, because it literally is her strutting and like draping herself on things and sometimes playing an instrument. Like, you know, we needed some spice, and Apple Music, thank you for giving us that spice through the editing. You Need to Calm Down was not the sleigh that you all think it was. It was kind of embarrassing. It only doesn't look embarrassing because it's not as embarrassing as me. Next, I would like to give a special shout out to the merch team, because they cannot fucking get it together. We have endless amounts of just hideous, ugly, monstrous designs attacking us every single day. There's a new collection, a limited edition collection, I'd say once a week at least, and I just think that it's a little tacky that she's endlessly pushing product on us. Does she not have enough coin at this moment? Isn't she like fine and happy with like millions of houses and, you know, everything she could ever want? Why do we need to be selling $165 hoodies? I miss the old days when we would have like, you know, a new album would come out and we'd get like 3 album tees and like some weird shit no one asked for, like a Christmas tree decoration or that little like phone speaker thing that came with the Red album. And then for tour, we would get like a few tees and some posters. It's just wasteful at this point, honestly. Like we don't need to be having like 12 collections for one album. It's just not necessary. My next unpopular opinion is that I want Taylor to shut up sometimes. Let me expand. We need to stop expecting her to be an activist and to comment on every atrocity that takes place in this world. She is not a politician or an elected official. She is a very glamorous show pony who trots around and entertains us and makes us all happy and gives us good content. And I would like it to stop there, because every single time she's tried to throw her voice into the ring, she says something kind of dumb or wrong or offensive. And what do people do? Then they start attacking her. The same people that are like, you must speak, are getting their pitchforks and going to her house and threatening to kill her when she actually talks about what they asked her to bring up. I would prefer her to just make general statements like, please vote, or please sign this petition and continue donating to charity and like fans and stuff in silence, quietly, so that she can continue to do her good deeds without getting lambasted for it on the TL. And if you're like a woke Swiftie who wants Taylor to be commenting on every single thing in the world, let me tell you, no, you don't. No, you don't. You think you do, but Taylor's understanding of the world as we know it is very different to ours. She is an immensely privileged person who has not had to face any like real material struggles. You really want her to be talking about culture wars and class divides? I'm telling you, you don't. You don't want to hear what she has to say. Speaking of, I would like to say something else I don't care about is who she dates. I really don't care. It's fun sometimes to deduce the songs, and of course I wish that she had ended up with Harry Styles, but like beyond all fun and games, I really don't give a shit about who she's dating, and I don't care to like see pictures of them together or like know when they're gonna get married. I'm just not interested, and I feel like she actually at this point does not want us to be interested, you know, given the fact that she's done like 2 fictional albums to try and stop us from speculating about her personal life. So I'm just gonna leave that topic alone. Personally, you can do what you want, of course, but that's just my onion. All Too Well is not her most perfect and most gutting song. Dear John is. Dear John did it first. Dear John's right there. She's sitting in her cage and waiting to be acknowledged. Let her out. Let her free. Shut up about All Too Well and start talking about Dear John. On to the next. I think that it's good and healthy for her to have very limited interactions with social media. I know that everybody wants her to go back to posting pictures of her friends and her cats and blah, 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 but we have to remember that overexposure took her away from us for like 2 years. I personally would like to keep getting new music and candid interviews and have the occasional picture of Meredith on my TL. That's it. That's all I want at this point. We have been inside her daily life on Instagram, chronicling it every day. And you know what? It didn't do anything good for us. So let's just leave that one alone, shall we? Red did not deserve Album of the Year at the Grammys. Just kidding. Of course it did. I'm not fucking crazy. But neither Reputation nor Lover deserved a Grammy nomination. That's the tea. All right, so that's all I've got for you today in terms of my unpopular opinions. I might do a part 2 of this because, you know, I have some shit to say. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this video and leave a comment and let me know what your unpopular opinions are. Maybe we can go to battle in the comments. And I am trying to do more regular uploads, so you'll be seeing me very soon. Don't forget to subscribe, check out my podcast, and follow me on Instagram. Peace and love.